Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of the North East Non-League Show, proudly sponsored by Beer Watch TV, Sunderland West End, and only one JG18, Jade Bell, her game 2, and proud to also support If You Care Share Foundation. Join us tonight, Luke. Thank you very much for stepping in for Stephen. I've been trying to get a few guests on, but no luck with the non-league scene, so thank you so much for joining us just to help us out tonight.
I'll try and do my best.
But yeah, lots to kind of talk about. I spent the last couple of days kind of going through all the notes and planning for the show. But I think tonight we're going to be looking at obviously the FA Cup, the National League North, Northern Premier League Division 1 East, the Northern League 1 and 2. There's so many names now. I think I've kind of took this earlier tonight. You've probably got a shock at how many leagues there actually is between obviously stepping out of the Football League down, isn't there? As well, but I know there's 2 FA Cup games going on at the moment. It's not looking very good for Blythe. Obviously 3-0 down at half time. Come back second half, you never know. But Gateshead are winning 2-1 at the moment, so fingers crossed we can get another North East team into that first round proper. But yeah, starting with Saturday, and we look at Ashington, where we've got to start there. It's been a magic cup run. I mean, obviously a local lad from kind of around there. It's in a community such as Ashington and little areas around there. It's huge for a little football club to give the fans, the community, something to shout about, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is quite big on there. It's a small town, but like we do football up there, and everyone knows about it, and everyone asks about like my last sister going to the game now. Well, Fulcher's going to the Ashington game, but we might go to the Newcastle Lassers game, like so. Everyone in the town is very passionate about it, like. But yeah, they didn't have a good result in the FA Cup just gone. But how do you think that season's gone so far?
I mean, looking obviously now, it's quite funny because you look at the Division 1 Northern League and they're sitting about 8th or 9th, but they're about 8 games behind everybody else because of how well they've actually done the FA Cup and certain cups as well. But hopefully now, I know they've got 2. I know a lot of games are on tonight as well. I know that most teams have got tonight and Saturday, so hopefully they'll start plugging that gap to make it quite intense. But obviously Saturday they lost 3-1 to Kings Lynn. But it's a team high in the pyramid, that's doing very well in that league. I know they're 1-0 down quite early, but then 1-1 through Luke Samuel. And they kind of say they battled hard, but didn't quite take the chance. I know they had a few late chances as well, but obviously very proud of the club of what they've done for the North East non-league scene. And the club as a whole, because I'm quite excited. We've actually got the Ashington chairman coming on sometime next week. He's finally we messaged back last night because he's been bombarded by messages of just saying thank you for what he's done and kind of what the club's done for the community, that he's finally had the chance now to sit down and go through a lot of messages. So really looking forward to speaking to him hopefully sometime next week and kind of thanking him really from kind of the North East non-league show for the kind of the commitment that he put in. I don't know if you've seen yourself last week, obviously going down to Kings Lynn, it's not just round the corner, quite a distance away, and it was quite a travel to get down. And in the end, he actually said, if anyone is struggling who do go to games, look, give us a shout. We'll try and pay as much as we can. And because of that, fans stepped forward and said, I can pay for 1 person to go, 2 people to go. And I think in the end, they paid for 7 people to go down. And I think it's just absolutely amazing how the whole community got together. And hopefully that spirit can push them on in the league. Hopefully, won't it?
Yeah, that's a big thing that you're not really used to from the football that I sort of watch, but like the community spirit around clubs like that, it is massive. And getting the chairman and the fans to put their hands in that pocket again, just help the fans want to support a team. It's massive, and it's a great sort of example of what football's all about, really.
Yeah, and speaking of chairman, I mean, when other channels would get to speak with chairman, not speak with the Newcastle chairman anytime soon. So it'd be nice to actually get some of the local chairmans on and just kind of go through what they've got to do to run a club at that level, because it'd be really interesting. It's kind of the money that comes in, the wages that they pay out, and I think it's great around that area because you'll go into your local butcher shop, you'll go into your local shop, and they'll have a poster on the wall saying this Saturday come down and support the lads, and I think that's what it's all about, really, isn't it?
Yeah. It's something I can really get involved with as well. Like all the stadiums are dead small, you can go and you can go and speak to the players if you get the chance full time and stuff like that. So yeah,
it's really amazing. But the next one, obviously, Blythe Spartans, and I mean, just going back, Ashton, sorry, obviously, I know they're not in the first round, but the draw there would have been Doncaster away, which the money that they would have got from that would have kind of seen them through the season and possibly bring in 2 or 3 even more quality players what they've already got in the squad, but that would have certainly helped trying to get out of that league, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing with it's a stretch for them because FA Cup's not sort of divisional like the Johnson's Paid trophies in the early rounds where you could get like Blythe, they've been dragged across the Wrexham.
Yeah,
You could just end up playing anywhere in the country. It's not cheap for the clubs either. But if they do make it in that first round and they get a bigger club, it's worth it there for them. So hopefully they get a better shot of it next year and just get a bit of luck.
definitely. But like I say, they not be complaining too much because I know they made quite a nice sum of money from the FA Cup qualifying round, so hopefully that'll help keep the club going as well. But next up was Blythe Spartans, obviously 1-1 draw with Wrexham, great results. Michael Richardson free kick right at the dead, but obviously at Croft Park, Blythe Spartans, it's a massive atmosphere. And I think I was just telling you just before we went live, there obviously 2 bus loads going down today. One's literally broke down in the middle of nowhere, couldn't find a bus to go down, and just that extra possible 50, 60 fans. And like we said, Wrexham, it's looking packed tonight down there, isn't it?
Yeah, these sell out very well. I think Hollywood touch has done wonders for them. It's a shame there's not more of these sort of people that want to get involved in the lower leagues. But yeah, they've done an amazing job down there. 10,000 people there most weeks, which is better than quite a few league teams, to be fair to them. So I think it's only a matter of time before they get back into the ladder. But Blythe put a really good account of themselves in, good account for the region. So a couple of our fans were giving Ryan Reynolds some grief on Twitter and that before the game. So it's good that they're getting involved in it. Again, hopefully they've made a bit of money out of it. I know that game's being shown live in the US today. I don't know what TV deals are like in the FA Cup qualifying round, but hopefully they'll get a cut of that out of it because I imagine the audience is probably pretty big over there. I don't think they've got much on this time of day on a Tuesday in the US in terms of sport.
Yeah, like you say, hopefully they can make some money through because I know they were 3-0 at half time, so it's not looking very good down there. But again, obviously in the league, they are around the bottom of the area, so hopefully now turn their attentions to the league and hopefully Graham Fenton can do the job and get them comfortable in that league, which I know we had the Blythe on last week and he said, I just want a comfortable season. Pretty much like what we've said as Newcastle fans, kind of.
Yeah.
We just want to be safe, come February, March time, enjoy the last few weeks of the season without any relegation, without any of this, without any of that. And I think that's what Blythe Spartans fans want now, is kind of to be safe and then push on next season with Fenton in charge as well. If they did get back and get a comeback and get that win tonight, obviously they did get Oldham or Chester at home in the next round, which again, it's not the biggest of ties. Obviously, Oldham now playing in the conference, but it would have still been a good attendance at home as well. Getting on to Gateshead, 2-2 draw down Altrincham. I know it's been kind of around the same area in the league. I know the Gateshead fan kind of said it was one of the worst games he's seen in the league a few weeks ago, so he was hoping for better than obviously the 2-2. But again, 1-0 down early, but then 1-1. 2-1, but then obviously 71th minute Altrincham get that goal and hit the replay, but there were 2-1 at half time. Hopefully we'll get a few updates later in the show, and hopefully we'll get in that first round of the draw, because it's again a winner gets Stevenage, who is doing absolutely amazing in League One this season as well, aren't they? League Two, sorry.
Yeah, and they gave Newcastle a game a few years back as well, so again it'll be a great sort of shit for them. I'm not sure what the crowd's like there today, but I know 3 or 4 people that have gone. And my dad goes quite regularly, so he's gone as well. So it's just people that wouldn't normally go.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're getting a decent crowd, but yeah, it's a good stadium, and I think they're doing well. I think it's Rob Elliott there now. He's doing quite a bit trying to promote the team, and they're sort of getting the people in the right place. They've had a bit of a rough few years and stuff, and I think the step up in the league it's a big jump for them, and I think if they do well to stay up, I think they'll have a great couple of seasons, but I think it's going to be a tough ask for them to stay in there because of just the step up in quality, and you see with Wrexham and the money that they've got, and the other teams in there. I think they've won 1 so far this season, and they're sort of struggling to get that, but then again, there's a few teams like them, and I do think they'll Gateshead fans do get out, and North East we love football up here, so the better they do, and especially get through in the FA Cup, they'll definitely get a few in the home fixture, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. Joland, thank you for watching. Doing great. Like you say, lots of non-league going on today, so my phone's been non-stop. Checking out lineups and everything the last hour at work there, so I'm glad to be in and hopefully seeing a few updates later as well. But just touching on Gateshead, I don't know if you've seen the Ian Watson interview a few weeks ago, and I knew things were bad at Gateshead, but some of the stories he was telling where the chairman was literally sleeping at the stadium and telling to get out of the stadium and selling kind of the kit man's van to get a bus to pay to go to away game. It's absolutely crazy. You don't hear them stories, do you?
Yeah, and like again, we used to play Wharton football, and it was the Newcastle Foundation, and they stopped and turned over to the Gateshead Foundation. And there's a couple of lads there, like we were playing Wharton football with one of the lasses there who was chief operating officer at one point,
Right.
just because of how skeleton the crew was and stuff like that. So it was a really bad situation for them. They've done well to sort of rescue it and bringing people in. I think Mike Williamson's doing a good job as manager as well, player manager, putting the Grafton on the pitch and off the pitch, and now he's got to get people like Rob Elliott in there they're doing a lot more of the work face to face with the media and stuff. You see him most weeks giving interviews and stuff online. So,
yeah.
So hopefully a bit of promotion and stuff, and it'd be good like non-league day when you get non-Premier League day games. I'm not sure how many there is this season with the where the World Cups fell and how compressed the Premier League is, but if you get the chance, it's a good stadium to go down to catch a game. It's dead friendly. It's easy to get to. So it would be a good one to get more people to go into. So hopefully the more influence from ex-Newcastle players, the more public that they get, they'll hopefully get a bit more support.
And I hope now, because they've got that Newcastle connection and they're kind of pushing on out to get back in the Football League, there's no reason now why Newcastle and Gateshead can't get a kind of a better link together. Because it'd be nice to kind of see some of the under-23 players go down there. I know a lot of us want to kind of see them going in League One, League Two, but a few lads, just to get that game time, it's nothing bad with going and getting a month loan deal at Gateshead. The likes of Stevenson, who banging goals on the 23 level, send them down there. They're just missing that little strike. Obviously, they lost two key players in the Summit and Notts County, but getting in a player like Dylan Stevenson, who's doing well at the 23 level, it could just be that little push that they need, isn't it?
Yeah, and especially like probably the most unluckiest place club in the Northeast being right next to Newcastle.
Yeah, especially now.
Everybody in Gateshead is a Newcastle fan. So hopefully, if they did get that connection with the club, you've got a few ex-Toon players there, and the way the club is now, they are looking to be a more community-focused club. If they do get that link, I'd go and be more interested in the young players to see how they're doing. You just get, even if they've just got Newcastle fans going to check out the development squad and stuff like that, there'll hopefully be enough to help Gateshead sort of maintain their position in the National League, if not push on a bit further. But who knows what the future holds? We never thought we'd be in the position we are now. So
definitely,
after all the trouble they've been through, the lads and lasses at the club that have put the graft in to keep it afloat and keep everything ticking over, we'll get the rewards for it in the long
run. Hopefully. But yeah, that's obviously the first three in the FA Cup, all possibly no's and ifs and buts. But the last one, obviously, South Shields won 1-0 against Scunthorpe on Saturday. And kind of looking at it, obviously, Scunthorpe's just dropping out of the league. And obviously, it's quite a big name where there used to be always that team where it was Championship League One, Championship League One. And it was kind of funny because I think a lot of South Shields fans and myself personally, we were kind of saying, yeah, South Shields is going to win that game easy. And I think that just shows you kind of what South Shields are trying to do and push up the leagues. And I know Dylan Motley got the 13th minute winner quite early in the game, but it was a good solid win. And now they're home against Forest Green, who's struggling in League One in a few weeks' time. And again, yes, they're in League One. That's crazy to think, but I think they have got a chance of turning them over. And if they do, it's £41,000 for the winner in the first round. Obviously, you get a little bit, obviously, if you lose, but £41,000 for a team like South Shields. And I know Kevin Phillips is not on peanuts at the club. It can help possibly bring another 2 or 3 players in to get that promotion that, to be honest with you, I always say they finally deserve, because that COVID hit season, they were miles ahead. And then obviously the playoff heartache, it's about time now they made that step up and seen what they can do as a club pushing forward, isn't it?
Yeah. Before we move on any further, when we're on about Wrexham Blythe, it's now 3-2.
Oh, I said, didn't I? Come back live on so yeah, we'll get back over to Luke live in the studio very shortly.
3-2 scored in the 54th and the 58th minute.
Get in.
Anyone follows Wrexham on a weekend, they've got a tendency for imploding when they start giving away quick goals. I think that was 7-5 the other week.
7-5, yeah. Any update on the Gateshead game while you're on there?
It's still 2-1 at the moment.
Still 2-1.
15 minutes left. So yeah, it's sort of slowed down a bit.
Better than Soccer Saturday this line. But yeah. But yeah, do you fancy South Shields in the first round?
I think they've got a good chance, to be fair. Sort of, I think they've got that confidence boost from their success so far. And as you said, they had that heartache last season. They'll have a bit of resilience from that this season. So hopefully, they've got. I've seen Kevin Phillips getting around on the radio and stuff, and he's talking about a sense and not getting too excited and keeping himself quite grounded. So hopefully they can sneak past, and then who knows where they'll get to. As you say, if they manage to get the win, that's a huge boost for them financially. And you never know, the second round you sort of get some of the championship teams in as well. So you never know, they could end up getting an easy game at Sunderland or something like that in the round after.
Hopefully, but yeah, some cracking ties if they get through as well. And like you say, hopefully now with that comeback down at Wrexham, you never know. Hopefully another name in the hat as well for that. But yeah, just mention there, £41,000 for the winners. If you win in the first round, obviously you get a little bit less, obviously for that as coming losers. But it's a cracking amount of money for clubs in around that area at the time. But yeah, fingers crossed for the team. Sorry, going at that first round. Getting on the National League North, obviously going back from Saturday, gone. Cracking game at the top there. Dalton 2 versus Brackley Town 2 as well. 2nd versus 8th. A good solid point. Solid side. What I've seen of them over the years when they played against Spennymoor. Signing players like Adam Rooney, who was playing for Aberdeen a few years ago, it just shows you kind of the money that's getting chucked around down there. Brackley Town signing them. But Darla will be disappointed. Obviously 2-0 up at half time and 2 late. Obviously second half. Early goal, but then 89th minute equaliser down there. It's quite obviously when you're chasing the league that they are at the moment, which I'm over the moon that Darlow are finally doing that this season, but little heartaches in the last minute goals, it does give a sucker punch and it does kind of take it out of you some weeks, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think we've been there quite often, and it all depends on how resilient you are.
Yeah.
To be fair, and I've got a big game coming up, I believe.
Huge game, yeah.
So hopefully they sort of just take that as a wake-up call, like that last minute win, and they don't want to feel that again, and they go out and they take that frustration out on King's Ring and they get the result. But yeah, it's a tough one, but hopefully they've got a bit of resilience about it and it's not going to demoralise them too much.
Yeah, massive game, like you say, first versus second. And I think this will show you kind of what Darlow's all about this season, the result that they get obviously on Saturday down there as well. What can they do going down there? Just a little bit news from obviously Darlow this week. Obviously, Marcus Maddison, who signed in the summer, quite a lot of excitement between the Darlow fans, and obviously he's had a lot of problems with his mental health and retiring from professional football to then drop down and help Darlow. But again, this week his contract terminated, the mutual termination, and it's just. You've obviously, you know yourself, Marcus Maddison, of what the play was at Gateshead. Obviously, your dad's probably told you stories of how good he was there, and he went and played for Peterborough and teams like that. And he was kind of a player that was kind of tipped to go even higher. But it is tough being a footballer and the mental kind of breakdowns that he had, and you just got to kind of wish him the best luck and try and get his head back in place, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of those things that you never really know what's happening behind the scenes with some people and stuff, and some things are bigger in football. You've just got to go and sort yourself out, and hopefully it works out for him and he gets to where he wants to be. But yeah, it's good that the club haven't made it more difficult for him. It's a shame what's happened to him, but hopefully it doesn't have too much of an impact on their season going forward, and he makes a quick, full recovery from his issues.
Definitely, hopefully. And getting on to Spennymoor, who lost 2-1 against Kettering as well. But again, 1-0 half time up. And I think that was the same with a lot of the North East team at the weekend. They were kind of winning or they were up at half time and then getting turned around, 80th minute, 2-1 down. And I know Tom Allen, who's on loan from Gateshead at the moment, obviously ex-Newcastle player, hit the bar just in the last minute, then tipped over the bar. And again, it's at that point now where obviously, Jason Ainsey has now been appointed manager until the end of the season. Jamie Chandler, assistant manager as well. And I think it's now about getting a bit complacency and trying to get a little run of games going because they are in touch and distance still of the playoffs, but again, in touch and distance now of the relegation. It's kind of quite competitive in that league at the moment. But I think in that league, you've got to have a good run of results, and 1 or 2 losses can make a lot of difference in that league, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think obviously with Ainsley now, he's a Spennymoor legend. I know he's on it again in a few weeks' time doing an interview for us, and hopefully he can have that buzz around the club again and getting them going, because it's just starting to get a bit worrying again at Spennymoor. I know a lot the fan was on last week and he was kind of worried as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
On that one.
Hopefully it's not too much of an impact on them. They can sort of pull it round as the season goes on.
Yeah. Getting on to the Northern Premier League, again, not too many crap. Not a good weekend for the North East clubs, really, apart from when we got the next league. But yeah, Marine 2, Whitby 0. 6 versus obviously now Whitby down the bottom. Sol Solomon double for Marine. What a class name that is, by the way. Sol Solomon, class name. But Harvey Thomason signed on loan from Gateshead, from Grimsby, an attacking play. And hopefully just them little things where they might just bring 1 or 2 players to give them that spark. But there seem to be a lot of ins and outs at the moment. Deals going in, deals coming out on loans. And I think at that level, you've got to kind of have a settled squad to have any hope of kind of putting a run together, don't you?
Yeah. And I think same for most leagues, but I think that's one where, because of our tight knit groups and stuff like that, you have to keep a settled squad and try and keep everyone together and everyone happy as best as you can.
Definitely. And again, Mars run now 2-0 defeat against FC United and Manchester, 8 versus 1st. So it was quite a good up the league table game. But again, I think it's just one of those things where with Marsk at the moment, again, we go back a few weeks ago, vandalism at the club, people like putting the floodlights out, pulling cables out and stuff like that. And it's just the last thing a club like that needs at the moment. Obviously, they're doing quite well in the league, and fans need to be going down to support the club, not kind of put them in turmoil where they've had to call games off. And if they are chasing playoffs at the end of the season where they've got to play 2 or 3 games a week, that 2 or 3 games could kill the season, couldn't it?
Yeah, and especially when money's so tight and stuff like that, it's not worth the hassle for. It's a local asset. It's not something you want to be causing damage to. So yeah, I don't understand what goes on with some people. Fair enough, you might not support them, but there's no point in going out and doing them damage.
Yeah, and it's not exactly going to buy a light bulb. It'll be a very, very special light bulb that they've got to put in there to fix, and I can't imagine that being a very little price as well. We're finishing on some positive news from that league. Mort with 2-1 winners against Stafford 3rd versus 5th. Again, another good game at the top, and a Sam Fishburn double. And some bit news that week, Craig Armstrong now coming in as a coach down at Morpeth. I know he's got really good links just around the corner. He has a lot of coaching Sun and West End for the youth side, where he goes down and has his own academy down at the hub. Very well respected coach. I think going in there, giving Lynch a little bit of help down there is going to help them massively with the setup that they've got going forward. And obviously sitting 3rd in the league. I know South Shields again, because they're doing so well led in play, obviously because the FA Cup, and they've got a lot of games in hand. But teams like Morpeth, they're going to be hopefully pushing on and getting around that playoffs come the end of the season. So best of luck to them as well. Getting on to the Northern Premier Division 1 East, and I was saying to Stephen, this is one of my favourite leagues at the moment, because before they used to have kind of the Northern League and then the step to a bigger league where you had to go and do a lot more travelling, where now they put this little step in where now they're not a Northern League teams now, they want to go out and try and get promotion because they've got this next step where they don't have to kind of travel all over the UK, where they've got like a lot of clubs around between the North East, Yorkshire. So it's a lot more better for them as well. But going through their results, some really big ones actually. Concert 2, Bridleton 3. Again, 6 versus 4 up the team. 1-0 down, 1-1, 2-1 down, 3-1 down. And then 89th minute got a goal back, and it could have been a late push, but obviously still going out with 3-2 defeat there. North Shields, very comfortable 3-0 win. Cunningham, Hipwell and Patterson against Grimsby Borough down there as well. I know North Shields doing quite well. Starting to pick up a few results now. Tadcaster 1, Shildon 1, 19 versus 17. Kind of a scrap down the bottom. But a really good point for Shildon, obviously, what's happened over the last few weeks down there, which we're going to get onto in a minute. And that was a Fexton 88th minute equaliser down there, which was really massive for them. And again, on the final 2, Stockton 1, Dunstan 2, and that was 1st versus 3rd. And that was a massive kind of northeast game, obviously both clubs in there. But Dunstan coming out with another Gateshead former player, John Shaw, getting the 90th minute winner for Dunstan, which I'm sure your dad's told a lot of stories about John Shaw. At his time at Gateshead as well.
I think same as the game before, like scoring the 8th minute, that draw will feel like a victory getting it that late, and again to get a winner in the 90th will just be a massive morale boost going into the next couple of games as well.
Especially first versus third, because I know Dunstan are kind of the were running away with it, and that little defeat now could play in the minds of some of them players. And Dunstan, who's kind of third, and I know Heaven's sitting second as well, but that could then give them a little bit boost to go, you know what it is, we can actually catch these and hopefully finish top. Because I think there's only one get promoted, then the rest have to play in the playoff, which is really harsh over the full season where you win in almost every game to go in the playoffs and then possibly lose out. But that'll be very interesting come the end of the season. And finishing that division, Ossett 0, Heaven Town 1, and a Murray only goal in that game as well. But Heaven doing really well. I know we had Danny Moore on a few weeks ago, which has taught him really positive things at Heaven, and his aim is to win promotion. And it's just, I think when that manager has that hunger, it rubs off on the players, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I think sort of seen it a few times this weekend. So hopefully they do carry it on, and look forward to the next couple of games coming up.
Yeah, but I'm hoping to get out a few of them games once the World Cup break comes on, to kind of do a few vlogs at them games. Really exciting times. But just looking at the top three now, I mean, of how close it is, you've got Stockton. I mean, this is really good because obviously there's so many teams in the league, but just to show you how quality and strong the North East is, we've got Dunstan sitting top on 25 points, Heaven Town second on 24 points, and Dunstan now 17 points in third place. The top three is made up of North East clubs, and that just shows you how good we are up here, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's, everyone knows it's a hotbed of football, and it's good to see that it's doing really well in the lower leagues and people are helping the clubs to succeed. I think I've seen Blythe, for example, took 250 people down to Wrexham, and it's good to have that much support down there for the lower leagues. So hopefully people do get out. As I say, during the World Cup break, there's no real Premier League, Championship games like that, so go out, support your local club team. Just go out for a couple hours in the afternoon, go and enjoy it, see what the scene's like, and every little bit of money that comes into the club will make a massive difference. So.
100%. Like you say, we're going to push as much as we can as well. Again, everyone, thank you very much for watching. I know there's a lot of people out in non-league games tonight. There's so much going on, FA Cup, Northern League, Northern Premier League, everything going on. So I know a lot of people are watching back as well. But if you are watching back, thank you again for watching and supporting our channel as well. Just getting some news from the Northern League Division 1 East. A couple of signings. Obviously, Concert have just signed Evan Horwood from West Orton this week, and a player that's played at a higher level. I know he's getting on a bit now, but I've seen him a few times play at Hartlepool. Good, solid left back. So a cracking signing down there. And I don't know if you've heard of this one, Lukey, but it's Shildon, the manager, the manager turnaround. So obviously, in the summer, Danny Moore leaves Shildon to go and manage Heaven. In comes Brown and another manager to take over at Shildon. Things don't go right, manager goes. So just picture this right, as a Shildon fan, 7th of October, Ian Clark is appointed new manager of Shildon, formerly of Marsk assistant manager. On the 12th of October, news comes out, he leaves. So literally 3 or 4 days later, he's had a U-turn. He says, you know what, this is just not for me. I think he's gone back to Marsk now as assistant manager, and that's turned around. One day after, Chris Hughes gets the manager's job now at the end of the season. Who's kind of been involved in the youth system around the Shildon time. So I think I've kind of panicked and thought, you know what it is, we've got to kind of point one as quick as we can, because people are just thinking, what the hell is going on at Shildon? But very strange, that, isn't it?
Yeah, so especially after what was it, 3 or 4 days? So it's a bit outrageous, really. You sort of think
I don't think you played a game, to be fair.
Once you get a game there, you think you at least sort of stick around long enough, unless you sort of try to leverage one side against the other to get a better deal or something, and chickened out at the very last minute and he's gone back. But yeah, it's a strange one that thankfully you don't see that very often.
Very crazy. Getting on to Northern League, which I absolutely love. I think it's getting to that point now where a lot of teams have played between 10 to 13, 14 games now. And I think a lot of clubs now, which we've seen over the last couple of weeks, are starting to let managers go. Things not going right if they want some new ideas coming in. And I know up until yesterday, there was 3 jobs going at Sunderland West End, Eastham Colliery and Chesley Street Town. I know the Sunderland West End job has been taken. I know that was, I've been told on Sunday, but I couldn't zip it until it was actually kind of announced by the club as well. But I got told on Sunday, and it was announced early this morning. It was supposed to be last night, but Seaton Crew former managers Steve Cockerell and Steve Patton have now taken over at Sunderland West End, and we wish them all the best of luck. I know the club kind of sponsored a deal between us, and we wish them all the best. I know they are starting to slip down towards the bottom of the Northern League Division 2. So we wish them all the best of luck. And I've already seen comments today of the kind of the quality that they are going to be bringing, and hopefully bring a few players in with them. And I think you see at any level of football, that new manager bounds, and hopefully they can do that at the club, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a gamble, but if it pays off, then it's normally a good thing to try and do. You sort of see it a little bit later in the Premier League, everyone sacks the manager just after Christmas, hoping for that bounce. Hopefully they do get the bounce and encourage them up. It generally does work most of the time.
Yeah, but I think still jobs going at Easton Colliery and Chesley Street Town as well. I know when the Sunderland West End job came up, I know my name got put in the hat a few times just as a joke on Facebook, but me and Parters are very busy at the minute, so we couldn't get in there, because I know I wanted Parters my right-hand man, like it was at Sherman United back in the days. Yeah, best of luck still. But yeah, just going over the results from the weekend, from pretty much Friday, Saturday, starting with Division 1. Sealand Red Star 1, West Alton 1. Good point there for Sealand Red Star. Thornaby 1, Northallerton 3. Crook 3, Pickerman 0. Heaton 4, West Alton 1. Penrith 1, Newcastle Benfield 0. Redcar Athletic 3, Gisborough 1. Sunderland RCA, Bishop Auckland 2. Towelaw 2, Whitley Bay 3, which was an absolutely cracking game, which I've loved watching the highlight back the video on Baywatch TV. Wycombe 1, Carlisle City 1 in there. But yeah, a lot of results. I mean, I know follow that league very closely. I know seeing Red Star struggling, but again, a great result against West Alton, who's doing quite well at the top of the league in that league as well. Any follow of the Northern League? Do you watch out for any teams in particular, or kind of take any interest in the North East?
More of the league as a whole, opposed to individual teams. I like to see how like the local teams are doing as such, but I don't follow individual team, but I do like to sort of keep track of how the league's doing, what everyone's doing in there, and see who's doing well, who's not doing so well.
Definitely, but I mean, just for them results at the weekend, I mean, we talked it a few weeks ago, and it was really quite close in both divisions. But that gap now is really starting to open up. You've got Bishop Auckland, who's sat on 37 points at the top of the league. We've got second place, Whitley Bay, on 33 points. But then now you've got that kind of gap between the other teams. But as we mentioned earlier, Ashton, which is kind of crazy when you look at the table where they are and how many games they've actually played. But they're now sitting fifth on 22 points with 6 or 7 games in hand on certain teams, which kind of this early on the season, you expect to see that kind of late on in the season, but not kind of this early. But to yourself, Lou, question, would you rather have the points on board sitting where you are now, or would you rather have the games in hand to catch up on?
I mean, the pressure's off you a bit if you've got the game in hand, sort of. As long as someone doesn't get miles ahead, you can sort of think, well, there's a potential 12 points we could be here or whatever. Yeah. So I think this sort of early season's probably a good sort of thing to have those in hand and sort of know what you need to do, because the teams above you start to feel the pressure more than you will. Because you've got those games in hand, and hopefully they'll make mistakes and you can just sort of just concentrate on your own game until you start to get close to where they are. That's me personally. But there's probably something to say for having the points in the bank and knowing where you are and putting the pressure on the teams below you. But I think it's probably harder to stay ahead knowing someone's got an advantage over you than it is to think you've got the advantage.
Definitely, but hats off to the lads at the top. Obviously, Bishop Auckland having a cracking season. I hope to try and get someone from Bishop on actually in the next few weeks to go over the cracking season that they've had, because they always seem to start well, or they have and then they kind of slip away, where this year they've really got to focus, and I think they want to try and win that promotion at that next level as well, because like I said, that gap now between kind of the two divisions, it's not as big, where you've now got 6 or 7 teams from the Northern League over the last few seasons now in that division above, where it's a lot easier for teams for travelling as well. But again, hats off to Whitley Bay, who's doing a cracking season down there. I know the lads who obviously sponsor the channel as well of over the moon of the football that they're playing, and cracking game at the weekend, the 3-2 win down at Towelaw. The highlights were brilliant watching back the other night as well. So yeah, really good. Getting on to Division 2, just going through the results again. So we've got Bedlington 1, Redcar Town 4, Billingham 4, Easington 2, Bolden 2, Prudhoe 2, Borough Rangers 4, Chesley Street United 0, Chesley Street Town 0, Brandon 2, Esh Winning 1, Washington 1, Newcastle Uni 2, Horden Colliery Welfare 1, and Wrighton 1, Berkeley 5, Sunderland West End 1, Billingham Synthonia 3, Willington 1, Blythetown 7. Lots and lots of goals there, Luke, isn't there?
Yeah, we could have done with some of those. I think there's probably some games in there now you had as many goals as the whole Premier League, to be fair. So
they should have put that on the match of the day at the weekend, shouldn't
they? Yeah, it's definitely where all the goals are, to be fair.
Yeah, but some games that really stand out for me, I mean, the Billingham Town 4, Easington 2, and again, like you say, it's so close at the top, but they're starting to push on a bit now. Same with Borough Rangers, who's kind of come up from the Teesside League, and it's quite strange because we mentioned a couple of weeks ago on the show that they're playing at the Durham City's old ground, so it's quite a travel. So I can imagine if they kind of keep going now and do win the promotion, and I think there is rumours now that they are starting to get their own stadium built, which will be absolutely fantastic for them, and just create that community football club as well. But another couple of results that stand out, which we laughed about a few weeks ago, with Newcastle Uni, because it always comes to the same where over the summer there's nobody at the university, so I don't know kind of where the players come from. Is it staff that are playing? But then all of a sudden, obviously, these players come into the university and they just seem to run away for some results. It's quite a strange setup, really, isn't it?
Yeah, just some ringers that they're bringing over the summer to carry them through.
But again, I mean, looking at that one, literally the top 9, there's 9 points between first and ninth place, and it just shows you. And we kind of said about 4 weeks ago, I give it a few weeks and that gap will open, and it's getting closer and closer. But I think again over the next few weeks, once the winter period kicks in, them frozen pitches, the muddy pitches, it'll kind of show you what teams and what players and kind of what they're about. Because it's a lovely scene on it. Going to a midweek game, it's kind of -1. The pitch is all cut up. There's water lying on the side, and that's what makes football at this level, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's what you like to see, along with the 5 or 6 players taking shots and coming off the post and backsides and all sorts of going out. But yeah, it's what it's all about, isn't it? So it's just amazing. Pure football. It's like what you remember doing as a kid, isn't it? And going and seeing it in a proper setting, opposed to just out on the streets.
Definitely.
Time at Gateshead, they're through, winning 2-1.
Excellent. Yeah. Any news on Blythe? Any more on the comeback?
Still 3-2, but they are getting a lot of chances and they are applying the pressure. So hopefully they won't get sort of punched on the break. But yeah.
But that's really good for Gateshead, like you say, now getting them into the first round of the draw. And going back to that one, that was the Stevenage at home. He was doing very well, but you never know. It's the FA Cup. It's the magic of it. You never know. Stranger things have happened. But just getting back to Division 2, down at the bottom, I know we speak about the top lot, but down at the bottom now it's getting really close between the 16th to 21st. You've got Eshwin on 16th place, 13 points. Jarvis 17th, 13 points. Sunderland West End 18th on 12 points. 19th Washington on 12 points. 20th Chester Street Town 11 points. And Poor Willington sitting bottom on 1 point. Obviously, point deduction for playing an eligible player. But it's going to be really interesting. It's quite tough on teams in that league, because when you're down at the bottom, it doesn't kind of get decided late on in the season. Kind of any teams will come up from the weaker side league, because you've got to have a ground that meets the needs to play in that level. If that makes sense. So all of a sudden, kind of 5-6 weeks before the end of the season, they could say, well, there's 2 or 3 teams that has applied for promotion from the weaker side league, so 2 or 3 teams could go down, and it is quite harsh to teams, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a strange system where you've got to apply for your promotion, stuff like that, and I think you've got to have the right stadium, because you could end up either not getting your promotion that you've earned, or you end up just having to go and play miles out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a strange sort of concept. You'd think they want to promote teams coming up and doing well and sort of entitled to the league, but I suppose there's a reason they insist on these facility requirements. But yeah, a strange system to me.
No, but like really interesting. But Luke, honestly, thank you so much for coming out tonight. I know Stephen's kind of just last minute. Obviously, he's had some work issues, so he's had to jump into there. But just coming out and giving us some support tonight, so I really appreciate it. And hopefully, like I say, when the World Cup breaks on, we'll have to have a meet up with Stephen and myself, and we'll go out and kind of do a video blog at some games. And I think we've kind of seen it down at Sunderland West End a few weeks ago. I kind of went down to expect to take a few videos of the game. We end up in the dugout before the game, interviewing managers and interviewing managers after the game, and literally on the pitch recording warm-ups. And I was like, wow, I want more of this, and I want to put more of this content out on the channel. And you've seen yourself, obviously, yes, we do the Newcastle content as well, but it's really grown over the last few weeks, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's a real one. I think it's a market that not many people have tapped into. even look at the success of like Welcome to Wrexham, stuff like that. Yeah, it's got the Hollywood name attached, but the amount of stuff you're seeing and like you get to see a real feel for the club, so it'd be good to sort of get that. I think during the World Cup we're going to try and get a couple of the Ashton games and Crampton games.
Brilliant. Yeah,
that far for us, and Joe knows a few of the lasses that go regularly to the Ashton games, so hopefully we'll try and get around. Hopefully the weather's not too bad and we can enjoy a nice sunny World Cup in a nice part of the world.
I'm sure we'll have a different weather here, won't we?
Go and brave the rain in some sheds watching some proper football.
Oh, definitely. But again, before we go, we've got to say a massive thank you to our sponsors, Baywatch TV, Sunderland West End, and at only one JG18, Jade Bell, Herd Game Tune. I know our two jackets have just been finally, the amount of times I've had to reply back to them when they keep putting the wrong sponsor on them. It's this sponsor we need. So hopefully now it's being dealt with for the phone call today, so they should be through for the next few weeks that we're going to be wearing now very proudly at the non-league games as well. And like you say, getting as many vlogs doing. I know there's been a lot of support from the clubs over the last few weeks. We've gotten someone from Crooktown hopefully coming on the next few weeks. Again, we've got the Ashton chairman coming on. I want to show obviously kind of what the club's been about over the last few weeks and the support that he's had. And we've also got Jeff Winter coming on very shortly as well once we get a date arranged, just to show his love for the non-league game. And I think a lot of fans kind of don't realise the amount of people, kind of former pros, former referees, that actually have the love for the non-league game. Like you say, the Longstaff brothers love getting out and getting to the non-league as well, don't they?
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is like there's a lot of talk of owners and who should or shouldn't be allowed to buy football clubs and things like that. But if you go down into the lower leagues, and not a lot of money can make a massive difference for some of these clubs and some of the local areas, and Wrexham's a perfect example, and hopefully people like Newcastle's a massive thing around here, and as you say, the Longstaff brothers and stuff, what's going on in Gateshead, hopefully Newcastle, I think Robbie Elliott talked about Newcastle reaching out to teams in the area and sort of trying to build that network with the club and get the fans involved, because it's such a matter of time. We know what it's like on a weekend when there's not a game on and we're sitting there just bored out with skulls trying to find something to do, and it just makes sense to just go to your local club. Odds are you've got one 5-10 minutes away from you that you've never even thought about, so get yourself down there, go and watch them, support them a couple of times, and that little bit of money, it all helps them. Hopefully you get more northeast clubs higher up the pyramid and just bring some more joy to the area. And for me, that's what football's about. It's about your community supporting your local club, so go and find your local club and get down there again.
Definitely all helps. Sunday, come and join us. Obviously, we've got the Durham City show, kind of what's going on there. That's going back to what we just said about obviously the support that they need and kind of what's gone wrong at football club. And I think there's a lot of questions that need to be asked, and we've got a lot of questions ready for the Durham City chairman if they do turn up on Sunday, because it's a great club that's kind of just dropped out of the leagues and down playing now the Weir side. I think they've played 11 or 12 games and scored 2 goals and sitting on minus 115 goals on 0 points, and it's just getting worse and worse week in out. And it's just a shame to see kind of what's happened with the club, and I think a lot of people just want a few answers, and hopefully we can come on and give that as fans. If the chairman comes on, absolutely fantastic. I really hope we do. Nothing against the man at all. We just want to come on and get some points of what's going on, who's running the club and plans for the future. If not, the show will still go ahead, because myself, I used to go and watch Durham City a lot. I know Stephen used to write a lot of the match reports for it. We do have a lot of love for that club, and we just kind of got a lot of questions that we want answers for, and hopefully we can get that for the fans, and just fans of like the northeast clubs are still asking a lot of questions about Durham City, and hopefully we provide them answers for the people on Sunday as well. But again, everyone, thank you so much for watching. I know there's been a lot of non-league action on tonight, so there'll be a lot of people watching back tomorrow. So thank you all again for watching. So close to the 500 subscribers. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button as well, and get across our Facebook groups, the Non-League Northeast Show and Rainy Toon Talk as well. But Luke, thank you for joining as well, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your night as well.
Thank you very much.
Good luck
to everyone at the weekend.
Has Blythe scored yet?
Oh, but they've just announced 7 minutes of injury time.
Come on. But yeah, fingers crossed.
Last couple of minutes, Wrexham have played some rather suspect back passes. So it's getting nervy down there at the racecourse. Could go to penalties yet. They only one away, and they've got 7 minutes to get one.
Oh, fingers crossed. But yeah, hopefully we'll see him in that next round. But yeah, thank you very much, Luke.
No bother. Catch up with you later.